is the trouble in Washington. Dun, dun, dun.
Hold on.
And that is because you're getting a big womp, guys.
Yeah, it's a pre-womp.
That's a womp. Now, they started out not so bad at the beginning of the season. RG3 got hurt. They still weren't horrible, but they weren't good.
No, they were pretty bad.
RG3's come back, and they're still sucking. And they just lost to one of the worst teams in the league. They put up 7 points against the 30th ranked defense and gave up 27 points against the 30th ranked offense, I believe. So, yeah, not so good. And they just looked embarrassing. Now, we're not even going to be talking about the embarrassing game. We're going to be talking about all the comments that happened afterwards. Now, in a little bit of RG3's defense, everybody who read a newspaper article on Monday saw the headline, RG3 throws his team under the bus. Let me tell you what really happened in said press conference. First question is, how do you think you guys played? I played horrible. I did not do well. I did not complete the passes. I did not have good mechanics. I did not do this and that right. That was RG3 talking. Second question. So what do you think went wrong? I did this wrong. I did that wrong. It was me. I did this. I did that. Third question. So what had to happen? I needed to play better. I needed to do this. Fourth question.
All solid.
All solid. All solid. Fourth question. What happened here? I did that wrong. I did that. So question after question, what went wrong? What went wrong? Finally, the question comes up, what else happened? And he said, look, I need a whole team to play well. It takes 11 guys out on the field to play well. If Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning's guys don't play well, then, hey, they're not going to win the game. It was pretty bad comments. He kind of made it sound like, hey, it's not my fault, it's everybody's fault, especially because everybody else didn't play well.
Which is a little odd after everything else that he had just been saying. But
well, it's because he was being pressured to
I know, but just the way of saying that harshly, like you could say like, well, everyone else also had a bad game, whatever.
Yeah, well, but and now, granted, these are media-trained players. They know they're going to be in front of these cameras. They know the reporters are looking for that headline, so they are trained not to say stuff like that. But he was goaded into saying it. Now, should he have said it? No. Should it have been vilified like it was? No. It was really bad. But so after that press conference happens, on Monday morning you have Deshaun Jackson sees said headline, RG3 throws teammates under the bus. And if you saw the game, Deshaun Jackson probably should have caught about 5 touchdowns for about 60 yards each touchdown, but he was missed a whole bunch of times. So Deshaun Jackson then goes out and goes on to Instagram or Twitter, one of the two, and puts out a little saying. He says, you can't do epic stuff with basic people. Now, I replaced stuff with the real word, but you get the drift. pretty much saying, don't point the finger at me, it's your fault. Which, if you looked at him last week, he came out in defense of RG3, saying, we all got to stand behind this guy, we all got to do this. And you see kind of Deshaun Jackson falling back into his old ways of talking big when the team's not doing too well. And that was one of the problems that Philadelphia had with him, is he talked a little bit too much. Granted. So, not so good. You kind of see the team, the locker room is unraveling. And then Jay Gruden comes out on Tuesday after all this has happened and says, you know what, RG3 should have shut his mouth. He clamps down pretty much on everybody. He starts going, well, RG3 doesn't have good mechanics. He was doing 3-step drops instead of 5-step drops. He was missing people. He was doing this. Now, all of his comments were totally true. And you know what? As a player, I would respect him for coming out and saying this because he was not lying. And another thing he said was that I'm not telling you guys anything I have not already directly told these players. Now, when it was asked if, hey, and he said RG3 should worry about himself and his position and not about everybody else's position. Again, true. Go out there and play your job correctly, and everything else falls into place. Same with everybody on the field. But it was construed as pretty harsh statements. Now, again, I don't really mind the harsh statements. RG3
he's a coach. I think coaches should have harsh statements, to be honest.
And he has to demand that respect in the locker room, saying that there's nobody better than anybody else. I am the top dog. Everybody's underneath me, and you're all equal there. And he was kind of just trying to get everybody in the line. Then what happened on Wednesday was he kind of came back and retracted some of those statements. He kind of went about and said, hey, I shouldn't have said what I said. I meant what I said. I shouldn't have said it the way I said it. Which, Okay, whatever.
I
thought what he said was
maybe we just need to. He should have taken his own advice, to be honest, and kept his mouth shut and maybe a few less press conferences. No, I'm saying say what he has to say to the players.
Look at coaches like Bill Belichick. They will come out and they will trash a player who does bad. Okay. If you do bad, yes, they say it to their face, but they're not going to let everybody else. I mean,
but I understand. What I'm really getting at is maybe everyone needs less press conferences. Like, I know we need it to talk about.
The head coaches are supposed to have press conferences, I believe, 3 times a week.
But does every player need it? Do they need it? Why?
Players they have to, and we'll get about this, we have another story about this, have to make themselves available after the games and once a week, especially starting quarterbacks have to be available 2 times a week, I believe, for press conferences. These are NFL rules.
Yeah, but why? Why does NFL have these rules? Is it just so that they have stuff to talk about?
Are you serious? Like, really, you're asking that question? Because they want to be relevant every day of the week. That's why.
I think it's like detracting from the game. This is clearly detracting from the game at this point.
Yeah, you might say that, but it's the NFL saying, hey, people are still paying attention to our teams. Money, 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 money. That's all we care about. So that's not even what we're getting into. Again, I believe Gruden should have said what he said. I don't think he should have had to come back and retract his statement. Whatever respect he might have gotten from the other players in the locker room, he just totally got stripped away because – and now this is a theory, but this is a very predominant theory, especially in the Washington area, which we happen to live in, is that Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen, the general manager and owner of the team, said, hey, how dare you talk about RG3 like that? Go out and apologize. So it just shows me that, we're going to be losing in football games here for the next 10 years. Until Daniel Snyder finally gives up, so
you mean when Daniel Snyder either dies or becomes so senile he doesn't realize he's signing away the team?
When he gives up and sells the team, that'll be it.
He's not going to.
But one thing I did notice from RG3 did have his Wednesday press conference. One thing that was good is something that it seemed like RG3 was really upset about having to do it too, but I don't think this is a bad thing. He repeated the phrase, "I'm focused on San Francisco" 9 times. When asked about previous statements, when asked about, what Deshaun said, what Jay Gruden said, well, I'm just focused on San Francisco. I'm just focused on San Francisco. And honestly, if you look at some of the best teams in the league, look at Bill Belichick, what he did after their big blowout loss to Kansas City, right before they turned everything around. We're focused on Cincinnati next week. They just lost by 30 points. They're asking what went on in the game. We're just focused on Cincinnati now. We're just focused on Cincinnati. Stop talking about that stuff. You can talk about that stuff in the locker room. Don't put those negative stories out there because I don't care who you are going to pick up a paper or you're going to pick up a pick up your phone and look at ESPN or something like that. These are athletes. They do care about what's going on around the league. They're going to see that negative stuff, and it does affect them.
But there are 2 things there, though. One, to some extent, some of those athletes, like for instance, Deshaun Jackson, should have known well enough about how the media works. They should have gone back and seen what the full thing was like. Just to see if it was really just RG3 throwing people under the bus, to see whatever is going on. Second thing is, going back to what I said before, maybe we don't need all these, I know the NFL rules have these press conferences, but it's detracting from the game. The fact that they have to say...
But what you don't understand is it's detracting from our team's playing of the games. It's not detracting from the NFL one bit. It's making them a bigger media presence. The whole fiasco with RG3 and Deshaun Jackson, they love that. They absolutely adore that. That brings them more market share. That takes up more time on ESPN that they're talking about just the NFL. That's free advertising for them. They love this. They're never going to change that. Never. Only when players come, if you go to New England area, they know nothing about what's going on their team. Every player is listed on the injury list every week. They have no clue, but they come out and win. DC, we've known a lot about what goes on, why this person feels that. It's been very cool to have such open and honesty, but it hasn't helped us win games. So I think a change of culture is what we need, and it's not what we're getting. So, but that's that. But hit us up. Let us know what you think about the Washington Redskins. And how bad they are. Are they ever going to get better? Is RG3 the quarterback of this franchise, or is he just, a blown pick? Hit us up. Comment down below. Of course, @What'sMyFace on Twitter, Google Plus, and Facebook. Always good ways of getting a hold of us.